Meghan's world has just been turned upside down once again. Reports suggest she was caught off guard by a significant and final decision made by Prince William. According to royal watchers, the Duke of Cambridge has cut his sister-in-law's last remaining financial ties with the palace for good. This move comes as no surprise to those who have long criticized Meghan's relationship with her husband, Harry. Critics argue that this severance of financial support is a clear indication of the rift between the Sussexes and the royal family. Supporters, on the other hand, might say it underscores the need for Meghan to be more independent. The decision has left many speculating about the future of Meghan's personal finances. According to sources quoted by the tabloids, William's actions are seen as a strong statement of independence from any perceived financial entanglements with the palace. This move is particularly noteworthy given that it marks the end of all known financial connections between Meghan and the royal household. Meanwhile, supporters of the Sussexes might contend that this step could jeopardize their financial stability. Critics argue that such measures are necessary to maintain the integrity and independence of the monarchy. As for what you decide, whether this is a justifiable move or an unwarranted blow, only time will tell. For now, Meghan faces a new chapter without the safety net she once had within the palace walls. As the sun set over Kensington Palace, a somber atmosphere hung in the air. Reports suggest that William and Kate had made a fateful decision, cutting Meghan's last remaining financial ties to the crown forever. This move, critics argue, was not just about money but a profound shift in the Sussexes' relationship with their royal family. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that this action came as a surprise to many, painting a picture of a palace deeply divided. Some supporters would say that it was a necessary step for financial transparency and maintaining the integrity of the royal finances. However, others argue that it felt like a final blow, leaving Meghan in an increasingly vulnerable position. The decision is seen by many as part of a larger pattern of estrangement between Meghan and her family. Commentators claim that this move might have been influenced by tension stemming from Harry's decisions to step back from his royal duties. You decide, was it a well-intentioned measure or a calculated move with unintended consequences? As the Sussexes face their new reality, the debate rages on. Critics argue that such actions only serve to further distance them from the crown and its traditions. Supporters, however, contend that it is essential for Meghan's future financial stability and independence. In this turbulent landscape, one question looms large: how will these changes shape the future of the monarchy? Will they strengthen or weaken the ties between the royal family and their American cousins? The answers are yet to be seen, but one thing is certain: the situation remains a focal point of intense scrutiny. The palace financial ties that bound Meghan and Harry to the royal family had been a contentious issue for some time. Sources quoted by the tabloids suggest that these ties provided the Sussexes with significant support, including private income from the Crown estate and the Queen's personal expenses. Critics argue that maintaining such ties while living in California created an appearance of impropriety, especially given the distance from royal duties. According to royal watchers, King Charles III and his team were faced with a dilemma: how to maintain the financial integrity of the monarchy without compromising the Sussexes' well-being. Reports suggest that William and Kate took a firm stance on this issue, viewing it as necessary to set boundaries and ensure transparency. They reportedly argued that Meghan's continued access to these funds could create public perception problems, given her reduced role in official royal duties. Meghan was blindsided by the news of these ties being severed permanently. Commentators claim she found the decision shocking and felt a sense of betrayal, considering it a direct blow to her family's financial stability. Supporters of the Sussexes argue that such cuts are overly harsh and could have been managed more sensitively. They point out that other royal families around the world often maintain private income streams for former members. In contrast, critics argue that maintaining these ties was never sustainable given the distance and reduced engagement of the Sussexes. You decide, whether this move is a necessary step in modernizing the monarchy or an unnecessary hardship on those who have distanced themselves from their royal roots. In recent weeks, a significant shift in the royal financial landscape has come to light, leaving Meghan Markle reeling. Reports suggest that Prince William is behind the decision to sever all remaining financial ties between Meghan and the palace. This move marks a decisive break from past practices, where King Charles III was initially more inclined to maintain some level of support. Criticizers argue that William's actions are a direct response to Meghan's continued public criticism of the royal family and her lack of cooperation with ongoing investigations into her business dealings. Supporters, however, point out that this step is in line with the monarch's broader aim to streamline financial obligations and reduce the burden on the public purse. According to royal watchers, William has long been skeptical of Meghan's intentions and her alignment with Harry, whom he sees as a source of instability within the family. By cutting off all remaining support, William aims to send a clear message that there are no more lenient terms for Meghan and her husband. The move also comes at a time when public opinion is increasingly divided. Some view it as a necessary action to maintain the dignity and integrity of the monarchy, while others see it as an unjustified attack on a family member who has faced significant challenges herself. As the dust settles, many are left wondering what this means for Meghan's future with the royal family. Critics argue that such drastic measures could further damage her reputation and any chance of reconciliation. Supporters, however, believe that this is a firm step towards a cleaner break, allowing both parties to move forward without financial entanglements. The situation remains tense, as sources quoted by the tabloids suggest that Meghan is now in a precarious position, with no clear path back into the fold unless she agrees to significant changes. You decide, is this final financial line a necessary boundary or an unnecessary blow to a family member? Reports suggest that the decision to sever all remaining financial ties between Meghan Markle and her last official role in the royal household is a significant turning point. Critics argue that this move marks a definitive end to any lingering connection with the palace, while supporters would say it's a necessary step towards a clean break. The term "forever" carries immense weight. It signifies an irrevocable change. For Meghan and her family, who have long been at the center of royal controversy, this decision adds another layer of finality to their separation from the institution they once called home. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that William and Kate were determined to ensure there would be no ongoing financial entanglements, a stance that supporters argue is essential for maintaining the integrity of the monarchy. However, the sense of finality extends beyond just financial matters. It represents a broader shift in the dynamics between the royal family and their former member. Meghan's representatives have expressed shock at this sudden severance, suggesting it came as a surprise even to those who were aware of the negotiations. Critics argue that such actions could further alienate public support for the royal family, while supporters contend that these measures are necessary steps in addressing the challenges posed by the Sussexes. As we look ahead, the impact of this decision is likely to be felt far beyond Meghan and Harry's personal lives. It sets a precedent for future relationships between the royal household and its members, potentially reshaping the way the monarchy engages with its public. You decide, does this move represent a bold new direction or an unnecessary severance? Stay with me, because the next part is the one everyone is talking about. As the news broke, reports suggested that Meghan Markle was left reeling by William and Harry's final financial decision. According to royal watchers, she was taken aback by the sudden severance of her last remaining ties to the palace coffers. "They cut me off completely," sources quoted by the tabloids claimed Meghan told friends in a tearful conversation. Critics argued that this move was part of a broader strategy to distance the Sussexes from their royal roots and reduce their financial dependence on the crown, thus limiting their influence. Supporters of the couple countered that such an abrupt action was unprecedented and could have long-term consequences for Meghan's personal finances and public persona. The decision, critics claimed, raised questions about the monarchy's approach to modernizing its relationship with its former members. Some commentators suggested it was a calculated move by William and Charles to assert their authority over the Sussexes and prevent any potential conflicts of interest in the future. Supporters of Meghan, however, pointed out that her financial ties were already being reduced under previous agreements, and this final cut was merely the logical conclusion of those negotiations. They argued that such actions could be seen as an act of retaliation for Meghan's public criticism of the royal family in recent years. Regardless of the motivations behind the decision, it left Meghan in a precarious position. She now faces the challenge of navigating her financial future without the support she once enjoyed from the palace. Critics argue this move will further strain her relationship with William and Charles, while supporters hope that it might give her the independence to forge her own path. As the dust settles on this significant development, you decide, was this a justified step in modernizing the monarchy, or an unnecessary blow to Meghan's standing and financial well-being? Reports suggest that after the dramatic departure of Meghan and Harry from royal duties in early 2020, most of their financial support from the palace had already been cut. However, a few residual ties remained, primarily involving the use of royal residences and staff support for special events or official appearances. According to royal watchers, Prince William and Kate Middleton's decision to sever these last remaining connections was seen as a final act in their estrangement from Harry and Meghan. Critics argue that this move was both symbolic and practical, aimed at ensuring a clear line between the Sussexes and the royal family going forward. Supporters of the couple maintain that such actions were unnecessary and could be perceived as punitive. Sources quoted by the tabloids claimed that William's office had stated the decision was made to streamline the palace's operations and reduce costs associated with maintaining two separate households. However, supporters counter that these measures should have been taken years ago, suggesting a lack of foresight rather than financial necessity. As for Meghan herself, she appeared blindsided by this latest development, though her representatives issued statements emphasizing their ongoing commitment to supporting charitable causes in the United States. Critics argue that this move further isolates the couple from royal ties and could impact their future access to official functions or support. As the dust settles on another dramatic chapter in the royal saga, one question looms large: why did Prince William decide to sever all financial ties with Meghan Markle and her son, Archie, forever? The move is seen by many as a bold statement rather than an accounting of finances. According to royal watchers, this decision was not just about money. Reports suggest, they claim, that the closure of these last remaining financial connections between Meghan and the palace is part of a broader strategy to distance her from official ties. Critics argue that it's a clear signal to both Meghan and Harry that their time in the spotlight, albeit controversial, is coming to an end. Supporters of this stance would say, it's about maintaining the integrity and dignity of the monarchy. By cutting off all financial support, William is ensuring that any perceived impropriety or scandal involving Meghan doesn't taint the crown. However, skeptics counter that it's more a move to assert control over the narrative surrounding the Sussexes. The royal family has always been adept at managing public perception. Closing these financial ties could be seen as part of their ongoing efforts to do just that. Sources quoted by the tabloids suggest that this decision was made to prevent any potential conflicts of interest or to maintain a clear separation between the private lives of the Sussexes and the official duties of the monarchy. But beyond the financial implications, this move raises questions about the future of Meghan's relationship with her family. You decide whether this is a wise step or an unnecessary rift. For many, it marks the end of an era, a time when the public saga of the Sussexes was front and center in royal news cycles. As King Charles III navigates his new role, these decisions continue to shape not only Meghan's but also the entire family's future within the institution they once called home. The question remains, what does this mean for the monarchy's ability to adapt to changing times while maintaining its time-honored traditions? As the Sussexes' financial ties to the royal family were being severed, it was revealed that Prince Harry had also been affected by this drastic move. Reports suggest that sources close to the palace confirmed Harry's severance package, which was meant to protect him from potential legal risks and ensure his future stability. According to royal watchers, the decision came as a shock to Meghan, who reportedly felt blindsided by these changes. Critics argue that this financial separation further distances the Sussexes from their former lives in the UK, while supporters of the monarchy might see it as a necessary step to maintain the integrity of the royal finances and protect the institution. William's actions, commentators claim, were driven by both his desire to shield his mother from any potential scandal and his commitment to ensuring that the royal family remained financially solvent. However, this move has only intensified the debate about the Sussexes' future in the royal fold. Meghan, now living in California, is reported to be grappling with the implications of these financial changes. Some argue that her public image as a champion for mental health and equality may suffer further isolation from the institution she once represented. Others suggest that this severance could provide her with more independence, allowing her to pursue her philanthropic goals without the constraints of royal protocol. The situation leaves many viewers questioning, how will these financial changes impact Meghan's role in the public eye? And what does it mean for the future of the Sussexes' relationship with their extended family and the institution they once called home? You decide. How do you see this playing out in the coming months? And that is not even the part that has the commentary world in a frenzy. In the intricate web of royal finances, one thread has recently tightened, leaving Meghan Markle blindsided by a significant change. Reports suggest that William, along with the palace, made the decision to sever the last financial ties between Harry and Meghan, effectively cutting off their access to security funding. This move came after months of public scrutiny over the Sussexes' financial dealings. According to royal watchers, the decision was driven by concerns over potential conflicts of interest and the need for clear lines of separation between the royal family and its private citizens. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that William felt a responsibility to ensure his brother's financial stability while also maintaining the integrity of the monarchy's public image. Critics argue that this action could be seen as punitive, citing the Sussexes' past public statements and their ongoing legal battles with the British government over alleged tax avoidance. Supporters would say that it was necessary to maintain a clear distinction between royal duties and private lives, especially in an era where personal finances can blur these lines. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan have been navigating their own financial challenges, battling claims of mismanagement and seeking transparency from the government. According to reports, they are now left to fend for themselves financially, with no security funding as a buffer against potential threats or legal issues. You decide, was this move a necessary step in maintaining the royal family's integrity, or did it go too far in punishing the Sussexes? The debate rages on, and the fallout continues. As the dust settles on another dramatic chapter in the royal saga, we find ourselves pondering the latest blow to Meghan Markle's financial stability. Reports suggest that William and Harry have severed her last remaining ties to palace finances, effectively cutting off a significant source of income. Commentators are divided. Some argue this is a calculated move for tidy governance, while others see it as a form of punishment. Supporters of the royal establishment might say this is simply part of maintaining financial discipline within the family. After all, the monarchy has faced budget constraints and the need to streamline operations in recent years. Critics, on the other hand, claim that this action goes beyond mere governance and feels like a personal vendetta against Meghan. They argue that her last connection to palace finances should have been preserved for the sake of unity. You decide, is this move a sign of principled financial management or a strategic attempt to distance the royal family from their controversial member? Commentators claim that such actions could set a precedent, impacting not just Meghan but other members who might find themselves in similar situations. The question remains, will this action strengthen the monarchy's image or further alienate it from public opinion? As we watch the unfolding drama, one thing is clear: the divide between supporters and critics of the royal family continues to grow. The lines are drawn, and only time will tell how this latest development will play out in the long term. Reports suggest that the severance of William's financial ties to Meghan and Harry in California has profound implications for their lifestyle in Montecito. Critics argue that this move signals a clear and definitive end to any potential royal support or backing from the current heir to the throne. Supporters, on the other hand, claim that such actions are necessary steps toward ensuring the monarchy's financial stability and independence. They point out that William's decision could be seen as a broader strategy to streamline royal finances and reduce public spending concerns. The move has sparked intense debate about the balance between the Sussexes' desire for financial independence and their obligations to the crown. Many observers note that this new arrangement may force Meghan and Harry to rely more heavily on their own resources, potentially impacting their ability to maintain the lavish lifestyle they have become accustomed to in Montecito. Some commentators argue that this could lead to a significant shift in the couple's social circle and public appearances, as they would need to find alternative sources of income or support. Others suggest that it might push Meghan and Harry further into the private sphere, reducing their visibility and influence within royal circles. You decide. Is this a necessary step for the monarchy's future, or an unwelcome blow to the Sussexes' aspirations? The debate continues as King Charles III navigates these complex waters, with William at the helm. As we delve into the complex narrative surrounding the royal family and their decision to sever financial ties with Meghan Markle, it's essential to consider the perspective that many supporters of the Sussexes have offered. Critics argue that this move was a calculated strategy by William and Kate to distance themselves from the media scrutiny and public perception issues associated with their family members. Supporters of the Sussexes point out that such decisions can be challenging for any individual, especially one who has chosen to step back from the royal duties they once embraced. They suggest that Meghan Markle may have felt blindsided by this move, as she had been working tirelessly to establish a new life and career outside the palace walls. Furthermore, some argue that the financial ties were not merely about personal gain for the Sussexes but also about maintaining their privacy in an era where every move is scrutinized. They contend that the royal family's decision could be seen as an attempt to protect Meghan from further public pressure and harassment, which has been a significant concern for her since her departure. Detractors might argue that this separation was a way to cut off a potential source of controversy and to streamline the financial aspects of the royal family. However, proponents of the Sussexes' position would counter that such decisions should be viewed with empathy and understanding, given the unprecedented circumstances they face as public figures who have chosen different paths. In essence, while the decision to sever these financial ties may seem abrupt from an external perspective, supporters see it as a practical step taken to ensure stability and privacy for Meghan Markle in her new life. As we continue to dissect this complex situation, you decide whether such measures are justified or if they represent a broader pattern of treatment towards the Sussexes by their own family. Before we go on, drop a comment with your verdict. I read every one. As the dust settles on another dramatic chapter in the royal saga, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment for Meghan Markle and her once prominent role within the palace walls. Reports suggest that William, Duke of Cambridge, has taken decisive action by severing his sister's last remaining financial ties to the royal family. This move is seen as a strong statement about the institution-first approach he and King Charles III are increasingly embracing. Critics argue that this decision could be interpreted as a further distancing from Meghan, who has long been at the center of controversy and media speculation. Supporters, however, might see it as a necessary step to maintain the financial integrity and stability of the royal family. The move comes on the heels of several high-profile controversies involving the Sussexes, including their decision to step back from their royal duties in 2020. According to royal watchers, this action signals a shift towards stricter adherence to tradition and protocol within the palace. It could be seen as a way for William to assert his authority and ensure that all members of the family adhere to the expected standards of behavior and financial responsibility. The decision is particularly significant given Meghan's recent public statements about her experiences with racism in the royal family, which have further complicated the dynamics. You decide. is this move by William a bold assertion of royal unity or a harsh betrayal? How will it impact Meghan's future role within the institution? As the Sussexes continue to navigate their new life in California, this development could very well define the path forward for them and their children. In the wake of the royal family's latest move, the British public was left reeling. Reports suggest a significant financial blow struck at Meghan Markle, as her last remaining ties to the palace were severed by none other than Prince William himself. The news sent shockwaves through social media platforms, with many taking to Twitter and other forums to express their opinions. Supporters of the monarchy rallied around King Charles III, commending his son for standing firm on protocol. Critics argue, however, that this move could be seen as a calculated decision by William, aimed at diminishing Meghan's influence within the royal circle. Sources quoted by the tabloids claim that William was motivated by a desire to streamline financial affairs and maintain strict boundaries. On the other hand, detractors of the Sussexes seized on the opportunity to criticize Harry and Meghan for their perceived lack of commitment to duty. You decide, many argued, whether this action reflects a deep-seated disagreement over royal protocol or simply further evidence of the couple's estrangement from the family. Meanwhile, in California, Meghan was left grappling with the aftermath. According to royal watchers, she has been seen visibly shaken during public appearances, her once vibrant demeanor now tinged with uncertainty. The financial cutoff, while a practical move, has undoubtedly added another layer of complexity to an already tumultuous period for the family. As the dust settles on this latest chapter, the debate rages on. Supporters would say, it's a necessary step in maintaining the integrity and stability of the monarchy. Yet, opponents argue that such actions only serve to further divide the royal family and alienate those who once looked up to them. In this ever-evolving landscape, one thing remains clear: the future of the Sussexes' relationship with the crown is far from certain. As the dust settles on another tumultuous chapter in the royal saga, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment for Meghan Markle. Reports suggest that William and Harry have made a final, definitive move to cut off their mother's financial ties with the palace. This isn't just about money, it's a statement of principle and a clear signal of where the Windsors stand. According to royal watchers, these financial ties were never intended to be permanent. They were seen as a temporary measure, perhaps to ease Meghan into her new life away from the spotlight. However, critics argue that this severance is far more significant than initially thought. Some suggest it's an attempt to fully distance themselves from any potential scandal or controversy that might arise. Supporters of William and Harry would say this move is necessary for maintaining the integrity of the institution. They claim that Meghan's ongoing financial connections could create conflicts of interest, and that a clean break is essential for her future with the royal family. Meghan herself has been blindsided by these developments. Sources quoted by the tabloids suggest she was not fully informed about the extent of this decision. This came as a shock to many who followed her journey from Hollywood actress to international sensation and now, to what some see as a reluctant exile in California. For Meghan, it's a stark reminder that while the royal family may offer support, they are also fiercely protective of their image and reputation. The permanence of this severance is clear. Not only has William cut her financial ties, but he has done so with finality. This move leaves no room for compromise or negotiation. In the broader context of Meghan's relationship with the royal family, this action represents a significant turning point. Critics argue that it underscores the deep divide between those who support the monarchy and those who see it as outdated or compromised. Supporters, on the other hand, would maintain that such measures are necessary to uphold the dignity and integrity of the institution. You decide, is this move a calculated step towards greater stability for the monarchy? Or is it an unnecessary severance that could have been handled differently? As we continue to watch the unfolding drama, one thing remains certain: the ties between Meghan and the palace may be cut, but the debate over her place in the royal family will undoubtedly persist. In the wake of this latest development, critics argue that Meghan Markle has been blindsided by a significant financial blow. According to royal watchers, Prince William and Kate Middleton have cut off the last remaining palace financial ties between Harry and Meghan. This move is seen as a calculated step in their ongoing efforts to distance themselves from their former lives. Supporters of the monarchy might say this decision reflects a broader strategy to streamline the royal finances and reduce public spending. However, others claim it's merely another example of William and Kate's relentless pursuit of control over every aspect of their families' lives. Commentators have suggested that these actions are part of a larger pattern of behavior by Prince Harry and Meghan, who have always been seen as more independent and less aligned with the traditional royal values. As the dust settles on this latest financial upheaval, you decide, is it a justifiable step in royal reform or an unwarranted intrusion into private lives? The debate rages on. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for more revelations as we continue to unpack the complexities of the Sussexes' relationship with the Crown. Next time, we delve deeper into the emotional impact this decision has had on Meghan Markle. Stay with us.